Today, we'll be speaking with two outstanding individuals who are deeply passionate about physical activity and the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Interestingly, it is how they argue that sports and the SDGs combined can, on one hand, leverage the achievements of some of the SDG targets, and on the other hand, increase the public knowledge and awareness about the SDGs. Meet Ivory Archer, a dedicated fitness and nutrition consultant with the goal of lifting his profession to a bigger purpose, that is improving the health and well-being beyond the individual to the public. Welcome, Ivory.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Kevin Annan, you have worked at the SDG office at the Ministry of Finance and also a sports journalist at Asasi Radio. You are now currently the deputy manager at the Center for Sustainable Transformation and also co-hosting the SDG Hub, their weekly program at Asasi Radio. It is as if you have taken a position where you combine these two passions. That's incredible.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you again.
Well, let's begin with you, Kevin. What came first for you, your interest for sports or your interest for the SDGs? Can you share how your personal journey and how you came to see this alignment between the SDGs and sports?
Thank you very much, Faustina. I'd like to say that my interest for sports started before my interest for SDGs. Growing up in Osu, right here in this vicinity, I had the chance to play football with my friends, play basketball and so on. I was part of the athletics team in my primary school, as well as a basketball team in my senior high school. So I was very much interested in sports growing up. But then when I started my professional career, that was when I developed interest in the SDGs, particularly at the Ministry of Finance, when I worked at the UN unit at the ministry.
Oh, that's great. Ivory, let me come to you. As a fitness and working instructor, can you explain how sports and physical activity can play a role in advancing the Sustainable Development Goals?
All right, so fitness and sports with relation to the SDGs. We would like to say more like physical activity instead of saying fitness per se, if you want to look at the demographic, situation of Ghana right now, because it's more of a cultural thing. It's not really just a specific group of people who are dedicated to fitness. Yeah, exactly. So it actually hits a wide range of spectrum when you are relating it to the SDGs. And then we are looking at the main goal, that's SDG 3, that's good health and well-being. Then that links us to other goals such as no hunger, that's SDG 2. SDG 4, that's quality education. Then moves on to SDG 5, that's gender equality. Then SDG 10, that's reducing inequalities. Then also SDG 11, that's also sustainable cities and communities. Then we also have the SDG 13, which is one of the most important of them all, that's the climate change too as well. Yeah, so I believe fitness actually has a larger outreach when you're talking about its relation to the SDGs per se. And the main thing is to make sure that we are able to develop a much more healthier population. Yeah, and then an equitable one. So yeah, I believe it's really good that we are having this kind of conversation.
You, Kevin, from your viewpoint, which SDGs do you find particularly relevant to the world of sports, and how do you see their potential for life or to life?
Yes, so there are a number of SDGs that are related to sports. For example, there's SDG 3, which is good health and well-being. I think that when you are involved in sports, it inevitably improves your health, which is one of the targets of the SDGs. SDG 4 as well is involved, which is quality education. You'd realize that whenever you want to bring people together to educate them or raise awareness on a particular topic, normally sports is involved, which is a very critical part of it. We also have SDG 8, which is good jobs and economic growth, right? So for that SDG, you have sports that can be a driver to generate income. So you can have tourism involved, you can have people being good at a particular sport and using that to generate employment for themselves and also for the environment. There's also SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. You can use sports to bridge the gap between cultures and communities. People who do not align with one another can be brought together through sports. So effectively, we are having sports bringing people together to achieve the SDGs.
Let me come back to you, Ivory. Which specific SDG resonates well with your work as a workout instructor?
Just like Kelvin said concerning sports, just just like in fitness too, SDG 3 is actually the main target SDG that we are looking at, and we are looking at the fact that we want to reduce the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within the population of, Ghanaians as it stands now. And then we are looking at not just that, but also a way where you be able to, help them improve upon their mental health too as well. So that's one. And the second thing too, with relation to fitness, we are looking at no hunger. In that case, we are targeting what we call good nutrition. You see, there are some people who might not really have enough, but when they are able to understand exactly how they'll be able to feed themselves. For instance, maybe you see there's somebody who eats maybe kenke every single day. That's not a balanced diet, you get it. But if maybe, let's say, this person is able to have a little bit of fruits on the side, is able to have a little bit of proteins on the side, is able to have a little bit of, rice on the side, just a mixture within that in a week can actually help the person develop some form of good nutrition for themselves, so that they don't find themselves wanting at the end of the day when it comes to good health. And also, helps us targets that no hunger go to as well. Now, the next thing we are also looking at is actually climate action. Yeah, so climate action, this is a whole topic on its own, because it's one of the main things that we are targeting. Just as we sit in this room, we actually have the AC blowing. But fortunately for us, in this institution, we actually take advantage of the renewable energy. That's solar. We are using solar over here, so we are kind of good. But when you go to other places, it's the other way around, right? Yeah, where they have to use fuel to power their generators and a whole lot. Yeah, but that being said, we are also looking at developing an act of physical activity outdoors, right? So if you are able to organize physical activity on an open ground, you'll be able to save some energy to us also. So we are looking at energy consumption. Another thing too is waste management, right? A lot of people move in and go out to have a lot of physical activities. You have aerobic, you have cardio sessions, we have weightlifting sections and so on. And at the end of the day, these people have to get water to stay hydrated, and they end up buying pure water wrappers, and then they have drinking water in bottles and so on, and then they have to throw it away. You can literally just get one particular bottle that you use for these kind of activities that you can use every single day. You don't necessarily need to always buy water by the roadside and dump it somewhere at the end of it all. So all these things actually come together to help us. When we are talking about fitness, all these things actually come together to help promote the SDGs. And also another thing too is educating the clients that I work with and the clients that maybe other people to work with. It's also one thing. It's really important that thing is in effect, because these are the same people who also go out there and influence the world. Okay, so the other one is the gender equality. That's also trying to empower women and ladies to also take part in physical activities. It's more of a culture thing, but if you are looking at the demographic situation here in Ghana, that's something that we really need to look at. And then another one too is reduce inequalities, where people are less advantaged. We are talking about those who have disabilities and so on. Yeah, so if you are able to get all these people in the scope, we'll be able to really do a lot when it comes to the world of fitness and also sports in relation to the SDGs. Yeah.
Ivory, back to you. You made mention of climate in your response, and I want to be very specific. I remember we had you at the YRE seminar on 7th October, which was about climate change. Can you tell us the connection between physical activity and the climate?
All right, so yes, there is certainly a relation when it comes to climate change and also fitness as well. So what you're looking at is transportation emissions. That's the first one we'll be looking at. And in that sense, we are talking about not needing to, order food for a boat to deliver to you, or you needing to take short trips wherever you're going to, but you can literally decide to walk or maybe ride a bicycle to these various destinations to get what you want to eat or what you want to, do. Exactly. And in that sense, too, you are literally saving money and also staying fit physically too, as well. That's one thing. And the second thing is, the use of renewable resources, like I said earlier on, concerning, the use of, the solar panels and so on. We also use biogas and the likes. There are so many things that come into play. So but when you are relating it directly to fitness, you are actually looking at, instead of being in the gym and, always blowing the air conditioning and all of that. You can be outside in an open environment where you can have your normal aerobic session or cardio sessions or even weightlifting, who knows. Yes, or even just walking around. You can walk around your neighborhood to stay fit is also an option. Yeah.
Kevin, still on the YRE seminar on climate action, you are the deputy manager for CeST and also the YRE program. We've never heard of a fitness instructor at a seminar before, like a climate seminar. How did this come up?
All right. So like Ivory said, concerning the connection between climate change and sports, right? Before I come to how he came about the idea, I want to add to what he said. So the thing is, sports and climate have a very complex relationship, right? So if you look at, for example, the World Cup, which is one of the biggest sports events in the world, you'd realize that there's going to be a lot of manufacturing, there's going to be a lot of production of sports facilities, sports equipment, and also travel of fans, and then also creation of a lot of waste by spectators and fans. So he realized that there's a lot of greenhouse gas emissions through all these sports events. But on the other hand, sports can also be a way to reach a larger audience. It has a lot of influence and a huge reach around the world. So we can use this as an opportunity to reach a wide range of people to raise awareness on climate change. So that brings me to the point of educating people on climate change and what to do and what not to do with regards to climate change. Now to how we brought a fitness instructor to the YRE Summit. I think that the idea behind it was to get someone who could pique the interest of the participants at the seminar, right? If you are able to get people to want to be involved in a physical activity, I think that through that you can send a message to them on whatever it is you want to tell them, and also innovatively achieve one of the other SDGs, which is good health and well-being, fitness in general.
Ivory, can you tell us how the SDGs can be incorporated into fitness classes and make positive impact on the individuals as well as the community, how we can fuse this thing into fitness classes, the SDGs?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the main things that has been my focus over a long time now. So the first thing, of course, is to raise awareness. Whenever you're having these classes, you talk to people about the SDGs and then how they can also, help protect their environment and the communities around them. And the second thing is actually creating inclusive workouts programs such that it's not really for those who are workout enthusiasts, but also people out there who just want to take part in physical activities to also, try and have a peak of interest in what it entails and its benefits to them as an individual and also the community they find themselves in. The next thing I want to talk about is also community engagement, where you can organize, community workout sessions for people to come together, interact, get to know more about the SDGs and so on. That's also one thing. And another thing too is environmental consciousness. Let them understand how the SDGs relates to the environment around them, and then how best they can also, try as much as possible to make sure that they are doing everything right to protect the environment. That's also one thing. And also you can do charity and fundraising programs too, when it becomes something big at the long run in Ghana here. Then you can also try as much as possible to look at one very important thing that has to do with development, skill and development. So if you should take SDG 4, for instance, it's not necessarily having to do with basically the cognitive abilities of children in school, but also it teaches them a lot of things. That simple act of togetherness breeds in what we call leadership skills and also teamwork, and you understand all these kind of basic principles that it really takes to propel something like this.
So, Ivory, I know there are lots of fitness professionals out there who would want to integrate the SDGs into their classes and stuff like that. What is your advice for them?
My advice to other fitness professionals out there is for them to, first of all, educate themselves properly on what the SDGs entails and then how it's related to the fitness world. Because that's very important if you want to communicate to other people out there what it really takes to be, conscious about the SDGs. That's one thing. And then the second thing is to raise awareness. So when you're having your classes and when you're having a lot of other activities going on, you try as much as possible to raise awareness through that. You can also do it through your normal workout sessions. Like I said in the previous one, you have to create inclusive workout programs where everybody can actually take a part, take part in it. I don't know if, for instance, when you even look at my Instagram page, for instance, I have fitness videos. Some of them are very fast, others are very slow, just for everybody to get a piece of the cake. Exactly. So something like that. And also another thing too is you need to share your progress. Do you understand? For instance, when you're working with the client and maybe the person lost weight, the person loses some amount of weight, the person gains some amount of muscle or something, you need to share some of these things out there to actually motivate people to also take part in fitness as well. But not just that, but also motivate other people to take part in physical activities for them to stay more fit in that sense. Yeah, but you have to also make sure that we are doing it through the SDG way.
Kevin, as a representative of an NGO in Ghana, the Center for Sustainable Transformation, how do you envision the future of sports and fitness being linked to sustainability and the SDGs? And what role do you believe that individuals can play in driving the connection forward?
Thank you very much. So I see the future of sports and SDGs being interlinked for a very long time, based on the fact that you can see some progress in the fact that you can see a lot of sports and fitness organizations and also the mainstream sporting teams, sporting organizations are accepting sustainability into their practices. A case in point is Ivory's institution, for example, that is trying to be more sustainable in their practices at work. So that's something that I see improving in the future. I also see sports being used to create a lot of healthy people. I'm looking forward to seeing more equality in terms of gender, getting more women involved in sports, and also getting people more educated and being aware of the importance of adapting sustainable practices. And on the role of individuals, I think that we as young people have a very important part to play in achieving the SDGs. We are very critical because we are going to inherit the world that we live in currently. And so each one of us has a role to play. You have a role to educate yourself, educate people around you on sustainable practices, try to get involved in sports, try to live healthy, try to avoid pollution of plastics, try to do everything possible to make sure that the world that we live in is going to be a very good one for posterity in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivory and Kevin, for talking to us today.
It was great to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It was really great to be here.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, you have a role to play in achieving the SDGs by staying healthy and fit. My name is Faustina Yeboah for Young Reporters for the Environment.